Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm Jason Barnes, play drums, also a student at Atlanta Institute of Music and Media. When I was 22, on January 9th, 2012, I was at work cleaning a restaurant exhaust system, and me and my assistant went on the roof and proceeded to clean the duct system and the fan system when all I remember is the feeling of fear, a loud explosion sound, and a pink flash of light. I came to in the hospital, I'm not sure how long after, burnt and cooked, and I thought that I was in some sort of fire or an explosion, and then everybody informed me that I was electrocuted. And I kind of leveled with the doctors and asked them what the best option was and the best recovery plan, and I asked them if amputating my hand was the best option and the best way out of here, and they proceeded to tell me, you know, that was more than likely the best thing. If I did keep my hand, it would be years of recovery. I would be lucky if I was able to move it again. So after about a week of my amputation, a week and a half, they released me from the hospital. I went home and was still kind of down and depressed, didn't really know where I was going with my life. And so about 3 weeks or so after all that, out of boredom and everything, and I was just losing my mind, I drug my drum set out of the garage and proceeded to tape a stick to my arm and to see if it was still possible if I played drums. So played on the drums for a couple minutes under excruciating pain, and throughout all that, it gave me the inspiration and everything like, hey, this is still possible. You know, I can still do this. I can still play drums. My first private lesson with my drum teacher, Eric Sanders, we sat down, and he was curious and intrigued. You know, he wanted to see how I played drums and what my limitations were. So we sat down, I played for him, and we kind of collaborated on where my strong points were and where my weak points were. And I explained to him that I would be able to do more as far as control goes with the stick if I had some sort of robotic myoelectric device that held a drumstick. And so, of course, he was intrigued by this, didn't really know much about robotics or myoelectrics, went home, did his own studies, and made him start thinking about Gil's video of Shimon. And so he came back to me, showed me this video. Of course, I was intrigued, and he emailed him, and at that point, still, I wasn't thinking anything was going to come from it. His student told us that Gil was very busy, and you know the chances were really slim. Well, then within days, Gil had emailed us back and said he was intrigued with everything and wanted to be a part of the project. So at that point, I was, you know, mind blown.
Maybe I'll tell you what happens after I got this email. And actually, I don't know many people know that, but I was at this time writing a science fiction script. And of course, it has some musical robots in it and artificial creativity, and humans don't end well there with robots becoming creative, and I was starting to be concerned with you know, singularity, the point where technology becomes smarter and faster than us, and what will happen if actually robots that we don't think as creative will be creative, and start to worry a little bit about the whole artificial creativity thing. And then when Jason called or emailed, I thought, maybe if we embed this artificial creativity in humans, we should be okay. We should be able to deal with the robots, the separate robots. In other words, the interest in a robot that is actually part of your body was strong, and to see what happens when the intimate connections that can be created between human and robots when it's not separate, it's really part of your body and you can create something interesting with it, was the reason that I was intrigued by that and followed suit. First, let's start with a very simple demo. We put, just for demonstration, a knob that Jason can change to show you what happens when the stick is actually grabbed in a tight way, how does it sound, and then how does it sound when it's more loose. So, you want to start with tight? Sure. And when it's loose, and obviously this sounds different, and later you can see in the lobby how the EMG, the signal from his muscle, actually is being detected, and it will be mapped to these two different modes. You want to play something, maybe a drum roll with tight stick? And now with loose. As you see, he has expressions that he didn't have before. And actually, for me, one of the great moments was when the first time he tried it, he played, and he said, wow, I didn't play this fast since I lost my arm. But then, because my research is about artificial creativity, I suggested, and he agreed, to have this second stick, that with a gesture, he can bring it into play. Let's see if the second arm comes, oops. And now he can, whenever he wants, he doesn't have to, sometimes he wants to be in control, he can bring the second stick. And now we can start to have all kinds of interesting things that maybe Jason didn't ask for, but now he can do. For example, the stick can create rhythm of its own. Let's say one stick creating one rhythm. And then let's hear a different speed or a different tempo, the second stick. And what's interesting is that now you can play polyrhythm. You can have both sticks played together in different kind of hertz, different kind of time signature, something very difficult for musicians, but he can just put his arm next to the drum and sound like this. So that was interesting, speeds that most humans can play, but we can actually play much faster because we have the technology. And it can play 15 hertz or maybe even 20 hertz, which is 20 hits a second. And it can actually, with this speed, can maybe even drum and hit and see and connect between his muscle movement and his ability as a drummer and the speed of the stick and create something interesting. Let's stay with this speed and maybe try to hit something and create some rhythm. So he couldn't do that. I don't know that many people that could do that before. In the pieces that you will see how Jason actually is in control of some of the modes with this set of pedals here next to his feet, so he can take this ability to play faster than humans and change the speeds, the tempo, broken rhythm, and so on with a bunch of pedals next to his feet. Great. And we hope to be able to actually allow him to control some of this with his muscle. For now, some of this more sophisticated control he's controlling with separate controller. And what was interesting, we put the first video online, and then I just got an email from a drummer. His name is Ralph Layton, and he said, I played with Richard Feynman, the renowned physicist, and he apparently is a drummer as well. Can we embed some of Richard Feynman's rhythms in the arm and let Jason play with Richard Feynman? And I said, wow, Richard Feynman. So we took some of the clips that he sent us, and we actually grabbed the rhythm inspired by these rhythms, and Jason will be able to try to play something with this rhythm. First, just maybe hover and see how it sounds without any control, and then try to play with it and maybe connect with Feynman in a new way. So these are some of the modes, and we have many more. We'll show some more interaction with other musicians. But these are some of them that Deepak Kopinath composed into a piece called Sections that Jason will start playing, and at some point, Eric, his teacher, will join him, and that's the first piece of our concert. So that was fun, but we didn't do some of the cool stuff that we can do with other musicians, connect and actually change aspects of how the arm is playing and create a unique, again, intimate kind of connection that you cannot create with musicians that are not controlling your arm. And to show this demonstration, I will call Andrew Straps. He's a guitar player from Kennesaw State. Andrew would listen to the kind of rhythm and decide whether he wants this rhythm or something else. And based on the chords that he's going to play, the rhythms from the arm are going to change, and together they create some music together that you cannot create otherwise.